Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of season 2 of our F126 Audi Career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here out at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, but some major news coming into this weekend. Williams look to be under investigation from the FIA. Yes, of course, over the course of last season, you guys might have noticed on more than one occasion, I talked about how the Williams drivers seem to be performing at a much higher level than their car performance would imply. Now, some people had said maybe that was down to, having Carlos Sainz and Alexander Albon, two very good drivers in the sport. But according to the FIA, they might have had a technical breach of the ADUO regulations, meaning that in theory, their car was worse than it actually was. Now, this investigation is going to take a little bit longer. Nothing has been confirmed this weekend as we head to Suzuka. But yeah, definitely something to keep an eye out on over these next few races. And of course, as soon as we get any extra information, I will be the first to let you guys know as well. Of course, if you're new, please make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. But let's see what we can do here at Suzuka. There we are then, ladies and gentlemen. We had always wondered whether Williams were up to something a little bit fishy inside F126. And well, looks like the FIA clearly have started to have the same idea as well then. Annoyingly for us though, of course, if you missed out on the last video, go back, check it out. We suffered a mechanical failure out in Shanghai. Obviously, a very tight turnaround between the Chinese Grand Prix and the race here at Suzuka. The team haven't quite worked out what the issue was with the car, but of course, yeah, we've had to put a new energy store in for this weekend. Luckily, we haven't taken a grid penalty because of it, but I am hoping that reliability is going to be a lot better this time around, and hopefully, we can try and return to the points as well there as making our way through the S's then to kickstart our first qualifying lap there. I'm actually trying to run a bit lower downforce this weekend, just to try and hopefully give us a bit more speed as well. There you go, Suzuka is a very punishing circuit, and I've immediately found that out. Just trying to make sure we've got enough charge then as we head out of the Spoon Corner down towards 130R. I mean, we are in excess of 210 miles an hour down to here. Of course, the straight line mode there deactivates, so you're losing close to 40 miles an hour by the time we head in towards the Casio Triangle. But yeah, this lap, of course, isn't going to be a great representative. Just trying to manage the wheel spin out of the final corner. 29.3. I'm not last somehow. Well, either that mistake cost me a lot less lap time than I ever thought it would, or, yeah, we just seem to have absolutely nailed the rest of the lap here at Suzuka. Either way, I'm actually quicker than our teammate Isaac Hadjar after the first run. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, whoa, right down at the rear of the order as well then, is a huge snap of oversteer, trying to start our final lap of anger, but I want to just try and make sure we get this one absolutely hooked up there. Turn 1, obviously still completely flat out. You're basically setting yourself up, ready for turn 2. But again, just like last weekend in Shanghai, it's almost like this car kind of can't handle the amount of power going through the rear end. And that's not even on like the full boost mode or anything like that. There is winding our way up through the S's then, nice and tidy there, up through the climb. Only about half-tenth down in Sector 1. Just considering those couple of errors, I don't think we can complain about too much. Alexander Albon, Williams under investigation, but it's not going to stop them going fastest. George Russell is immediately going to go a little bit better, however, as in towards the hairpin. Then we're about 4/10 up at the moment. Isaac Hadjar has just gone quicker than myself. Now, this is the first race I'm doing on the new patch for the game that came out effectively yesterday when this video goes live. I don't believe it's made any difference to qualifying. I think this is just a track where the AI maybe aren't as good as what we see at a lot of other venues as well in F126, but trying to dump then most of our remaining battery as we head down in towards 130R. I'm going to lose a bit of speed on the way in there. It's just obviously recharging the pack. Only 3/10 up at the moment, but I mean, yeah, you can see a lot of the AI have been able to find a whole lot more there as attack the curbs through the Casio Triangle, get the power down on the run back towards the start-finish line. Half a second up, 28.8. I don't even think I improved. We are 20th on the grid. Well, there we go. George Russell there, Virgin Galactic Mercedes AMG on, well, Fastest in Q1, sorry, I should say. Alexander Albon in P2 there ahead of Piastri. Lindblad goes 4th, so a brilliant effort by the V-Carb man, who will be hoping that he can finally get his first ever Formula 1 points this weekend. Further down the order, though, I mean, Antonelli down in 10th, Hülkenberg down in 13th spot there, but Valtteri Bottas makes it through ahead of Franco Colapinto. Carlos Sainz in the other Williams is out, so maybe they're studying some data on his car specifically. Gasly also out, Perez and myself out. We do go quicker than Isaac Hadjar by a couple of tenths of a second, and Esteban Ocon is going to be on the back row of the grid as well. So an all-French back row, all 3 of them out in Q1. Quickly, before we get into that, though, I'm happy to announce that IMB Racewear are back, and so are the all-new custom Matt 212 gloves. I'll make sure I leave a link down in the description below if you want to buy our gloves, or, of course, any from their site. There will be a discount code as well, but a massive thank you to IMB Racewear for sponsoring the channel.
No fewer than 12 world champions have been crowned at Suzuka, but who will be tasting glory today at the checkered flag? We're approaching lights out, and we can't wait for the Japanese Grand Prix. A lap of this historic racetrack covers 3.6 miles. It's the only time during the season that we race on a figure-of-8 circuit. And the drivers can expect some intense G-forces through the 18 corners on offer here as they experience some of the highest average apex speeds on the Formula 1 calendar. Keep an eye out for overtakes into the final chicane. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Russell, Norris, Oscar Piastri and Albon, Hülkenberg, Verstappen, Alonso and Liam Lawson, Bortoleto, Lindblad, Valtteri Bottas and Colapinto, Stroll, Behrman, Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Perez, Mr. Monaco, Hadjar and Esteban Ocon lines up at the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Go then, no grid penalties here either, so unfortunately we start a long way away from the points as well then. P20 on the grid. That being said, there was a little bit of rain around the Suzuka circuit overnight. Track is still very overcast early on, so hopefully as the track warms up, the sun beats down around this Suzuka circuit. The track is going to get better and better as this race goes on as well then. Let's see what we can do though here. 20th on the grid. Perez alongside me has opted for soft tyres on the start. 5 red lights are on. Oh, lights out and away we go. There is a very long hold. I've actually responded though quite well as Carlos Sainz immediately trying to cover off Gasly and Perez down in towards turn 1. Oh, Isaac Hadjar there happy to try and slam the door shut in my face as well. But again, I just want to try and make it through those first couple of corners. The AI, we know how aggressive they can be. Admittedly, we did go 4 wide, didn't we, last weekend through the snail section out in Shanghai. Definitely going to struggle to do that here at Suzuka. I think I did do it once on F1 25. It didn't go all too well for anybody involved. So, yeah, definitely don't want that kind of drama today then as climbing up the hill for the first time in towards the Degners. Hadjar, still trying to look down the inside of Esteban Ocon there as they are just forming a wall just in front of us. And again, try and get the power down, but still nowhere to go. It was all lots of chopping and changing. I saw someone there lose a bit of wing. I think that might have been Sergio Perez, who will try and hook it up around the outside of Carlos Sainz. We will get great drive on the exit of the corner. Trying to look around the outside of the Williams car as well then, as we make our way down in towards Spoon Curve. But Sainz, absolutely not having any of that then. Squeezes up against the apex curve there, and we'll make sure he gets the throttle down. And yeah, you can immediately see though, Sergio Perez took that gamble on the soft compound tyres, tried to be aggressive off the start of this race, but it does not pay dividends for him there, as we will make sure we get down the inside through the exit of 130. Oh, we're going to make it 3 wide into the Casio Triangle, as despite the wing damage, Checo still wanted to try and have a look there, but by the end of lap 1 then, we have made up 2 places against Carlos Sainz and the caddy, so not my best start, but not the worst. Oh, Pierre Gasly there, huge slide as we head out of Spoon Corner once again then. The Gucci Alpine driver really struggling early on, as we can see Carlos Sainz still trying to apply some pressure to us in towards the final couple of corners, but Yeah, Gasly then. I mean, this is a long way back, but he brakes early. I brake probably a little bit late there. Struggle to rotate the front end of the car in towards the final couple of corners, but we've made the move happen as Lance Stroll now maybe a bit of a sitting duck in his Aston Martin. Of course, home Grand Prix for Honda. They were able to get both cars into Q2, so a good job done by them. I think Alonso might actually be fighting up in the points right now. But you have got to be so careful with battery management around this circuit. Seems like the AI are using little bits more than I am, but we are just kind of using it in big chunks around the lap. Out of the hairpin, out of Spoon Corner as well, down in towards the Casio Triangle at the end of the lap there. As you can just see, Ollie Behrman once again forced to recharge. And well, I made the move work on Gasly last time. I'm going to attempt the same thing then on the Haas car there as he gives us a big old squeeze up onto that first curb. Going to still be wheel to wheel as we head off of the final corner there, as make sure I give my fellow Brit a little bit of breathing room. Gasly maybe trying to follow us by then as I'm going to try and leave them squabbling with each other. Behrman tries to force him very defensive back in towards turn 1. Gasly, though, not willing to back out of it. Up in a P17 he goes, and Behrman loses 2 at once. Oh, yellows. We've got yellows. That is a car up in front. I've got no idea who it is. But it's definitely someone then, I think, having a failure. I think that's a Ferrari. Might be Nico Hülkenberg out of this Grand Prix. Yes, it is. Hülkenberg, our first retirement of the afternoon. I mean, I can't complain. It gives us a freebie then in this race. And, well, still a little bit salty that my ex-teammate there was able to get a Ferrari call up when there was absolutely no sign we were. But, yeah, there we go. So, already halfway from our grid position to the points. I honestly had higher hopes for this weekend as well. We've got someone that's had issues behind. I think that might be Esteban Ocon that has gone for a spin there. I don't know if he came to blows with our teammate Isaac Hadjar. I'm sure there's a replay up on your screens at the moment. But Colapinto watching on as Arvid Lindblad and Valtteri Bottas fighting just behind Fernando Alonso for that final point. I guess that's a good thing, obviously, with Hülkenberg gone and Sainz down the order. It does, in theory, mean that more teams should hopefully be able to try and scrap it out. Of course, so far this year, it has only been the big 5 teams and Audi that have scored. We're only 2 races in, but not ideal. More yellows. What's happening now then? Is that a car behind us, I think, breaking down? Yes, it is. So Carlos Sainz then seemingly in trouble as well very early on in this Grand Prix, as Lance Stroll kicks out the back end of his Aston Martin. So already 2 drivers out of this afternoon's Grand Prix, and well, Williams out. Karma. I'm going to say. They haven't actually been definitely, you know, kind of done for anything so far in this series, but they are being investigated, and, well, Sainz seems to have been off the pace all weekend so far, so seems a little fishy. Well, I think we're beginning now to see more and more of the soft compound runners beginning to struggle. I know Lindblad is on the softs. I don't know whether Alonso is there, as Colapinto trying to get a big run on the V-carb man down in towards the final couple of corners. Alonso trying to look for a run on Valtteri Bottas as well and makes that move happen before we get into 130R. So on the power, clearly not so bad anymore. Resort Colapinto, very late decision to have a look to the inside of Lindblad. That will invite us around the outside of him there as Alonso immediately storms into the pit lane as well. So now, beginning to see some of our soft compound runners diving in. Lindblad forced to stay out 1 lap extra, so I can only assume that his teammate Liam Lawson has peeled into the pit lane. But for the first time today, we are into the top 10. Well, ideally, I want to try and get past Lindblad before he peels into the pit lane, so I can try and focus on attacking Valtteri Bottas back in towards turn 1 there. Use a little bit more battery. Lindblad will try to defend the inside line. I'm not going to complain too much about that one. Inside or outside, we can make moves happen down at the Casio Triangle. Is interesting. Valtteri Bottas also peels into the pit lane, so I guess we don't need to worry about overtaking him now. We're up to P5 in this race, but are some drivers too stopping them? We saw this last season. I'd assume with the tyre wear being a bit better as these cars get quicker and quicker. I wasn't expecting a 2-stop to be the way to go today, but some of the AI might be trying it. Well, closing in then on Charles Leclerc as we dive into the pit lane at the end of this lap. But yeah, the Monegasque man really seems to have been struggling over these last couple, so I don't know whether his team has told him, you know, with Hülkenberg retiring from the Grand Prix, he needs to look after the engine, or what's going on down at Ferrari. But either way, we might be able to get a jump on him, and that would be huge for our race early on then. It could be a battle in the pit lane here. Of course, the other alternative is he's got front wing damage, in which case I'd hope we jump him anyway. And we have, so there we go. He hasn't taken a new front wing though, but Audi doing a better job than Ferrari when it comes to the pit stop cycle. Heading back out into the circuit then, of course, we're going to lose a lot of time to those guys on a two-stop strategy. So Behrman and Stroll on yet another set of soft-compound tyres each. But yeah, I'm not going to complain about potentially being ahead of both Ferraris. But in a 50% race here at Suzuka, I just don't think there's enough time. You lose too much through the pits, and there's too many flat-out sections where you're just not gaining enough to make a two-stop strategy really viable here on F126. I also want to try and make sure I get past these guys. Oh, look at that Behrman down the inside of Stroll through 130R. Whoa, Stroll there. Again, his 6 awareness stat inside this game, almost losing us a front wing through the final couple of corners. Well, that's going to allow Charles Leclerc to immediately rock back up to our gearbox as well. Lancelot probably still not aware that I'm even here. As big a Ricardo Zonta. Ollie Behrman back in towards turn 1 to the inside of Canadian as well. Contact at that first corner, but yeah, with what he did to me down at the final turn, I'm not going to lose sleep over that one then. Lance Stroll wants to be super aggressive, wants people to avoid him, but isn't willing to play it the other way around there. That could have been disastrous down at turn 1, and annoyingly, Leclerc's gone through as well. Hopefully getting the jump on Arvid Limland might be a little less dramatic here at Suzuka. Down the inside we'll go through the exit of 130R, just trying to time that run, and no, Lawson again. Guess he's on soft compound tyres there. Wants to try and defend it. I'm hoping. Oh, I didn't quite get the boost mode. Sorry, Limblad even, not Liam Lawson in this Grand Prix. So, there we go. I guess we're up another one. But Bottas and Alonso not too far at the road. Of course, all these guys that I'm overtaking now, though, they'll be looking to try and fight back against us towards the checkered flag. Oh, Charles Leclerc is still applying pressure to us at this stage of the day. So, again, we're going to try and put another car between us down in towards the Casio Triangle once again. I mean, it is easily the best place for trying to go for overtakes around this circuit. AI just seem to be using their battery in a few other places. Annoyingly, I was hoping I'd get some boost off of Fernando Alonso as well, but he peels back in. Liam Lawson having a very, very good race out as well down at VCARB there, as he will try and be scoring some points today, but luckily for me, again, Bottas able to hang on against Leclerc back in towards turn 1. So we've just got to try and scamper away. Go Antonelli, Bortoletto, and I believe Norris. Yep, there you go, into the pit lane. Annoyingly, I'm not able to burn enough fuel for the team. I should have underfueled the car a little bit more around this circuit, it would appear, but Charles Leclerc lost a good 2 seconds behind Bottas on that lap. Still can't help but feel that he's probably going to get me again before the end. I think it was just really bad graining on those medium tyres that cost him. But fair play Alpine as well. They're having a spectacular afternoon. Both cars inside the top 8 right now. And hopefully they're going to act as a bit of a rear gunner for me. Well, Piastri then into the pit lane as well. Means that everybody that I was expecting to two-stop is definitely two-stopping then. Interestingly, though, we're actually taking a bit of time out of Max Verstappen as well. So, yeah, I felt bad in qualifying. I always feel bad in qualifying on this game. We made very, very slow progress, though, early on in the race, but both Red Bull and Ferrari really have struggled today. Dare I believe a podium is actually possible? Well, I tell you what, then, with 3 laps to go, we are still pushing like crazy here at Suzuka. The gap to Verstappen under 2 seconds now. That's going to be under 1.5 by the time we head in towards the Casio Triangle. I am not giving up on this fight. Up at the front of the order, neither is Alexander Albon. It is, I believe, Andrea Kimi Antonelli that has dominated proceedings this weekend from Suzuka. But will he be able to hang on in these last couple of laps? Or, despite the fact Williams are under investigation, could it still be Albon that gives them the top step of the podium? Well, on the one hand, after the disappointment last weekend, 12 points here at Suzuka, I would certainly not complain about. On the other hand, being this close to a podium with just 1 lap to go, I want to believe that we can just get a little bit closer to Max Verstappen here. I need to make sure that I've got the overtake boost first of all. Obviously, with that will allow us to recharge the pack, but this could genuinely come down to this very last lap, that last run in towards the Casio Triangle here. Antonelli still up at the front of the order. Looks like he's able to keep Alexander Albon at an arm's length as those two have absolutely walked away up at the front of the order. But I've really been taking a lot of time in the second half of this race as well to fine-tune my battery usage. But of course now we should get access to a little bit more of it on this last lap as well. I don't need to worry about having any charge as we cross the checkered flag next time round. We can afford to dump it all then. It's just trying to get closer and closer to Max Verstappen there. Use a little bit of boost as we head out of the first few corners. Just try and keep that gap down a little bit more there. Big Lyco as we head through the Degners. One final time today. Oh, we pick up a warning there. Just getting a little bit ragged out over the curbs. Got to be very, very careful of that. Luckily, I think that might actually be my first warning of the afternoon as well. Shout out to Charles Leclerc as well behind me. His defending has meant that Oscar Piastri shouldn't be able to get to us by the end of the afternoon either there, as everybody just trying to recharge their battery pack down in towards Spoon Corner one final time. This is where we've been good though against Verstappen all afternoon long there. The gap only 1.5 seconds as we make our way out of towards 130R. But unfortunately, it is not coming down. The Dutchman dumping everything he's got. George Russell, is going to take the Grand Prix victory today. So got my Mercedes muddled up. Alexander Albon is going to give Williams their second podium in a row. Out of the final corner, it is only P4.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Here's the checkered flag. Here's our winner. By George, he's done it. Russell wins.
Well, they were clearly at one with their car today, Crofty, out there. New regulations, of course, for this season. And you can tell that they've done their homework. They've studied, they've put probably a lot of time in the simulator, worked well with their engineer. And, I mean, they were absolute joy to watch out there today. They really were.
What a day it's been for Formula One, and what a day it's been for these three drivers. Time for the podium celebrations. Time for our drivers to celebrate. And taking his place on the top step of the podium, he gave it some hustle. Well done to George Russell.
Well, there we are then, George Russell, a great drive here. Mercedes back on top and ahead of Alexander Albon as well. Max Verstappen in P3 ahead of myself and Oscar Piastri. Charles Leclerc in P6 and, well, Lando Norris, who of course won our opening 2 Grand Prix, only down in at P7 when all is said and done today. Great result by Alpine as well, their first points of the year, and they get both cars inside the top 10 surrounding Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli. So yeah, apologies that I got my Mercs muddled up as the race went on as well. Bortoletto missing out, Isaac Hadjar as well. Goes to show the Audi, not great over qualifying pace, but race trim, we are pretty damn good actually, relative to most of the midfield runners as well. Carlos Sainz, Hulkenberg both failing to see the checkered flag, and Sergio Perez after that lap 1 misdemeanor. A very lonely afternoon for him. What does that do to our World Championship? Well, it means now Lando Norris's buffer slashed to just 14 points ahead of Alexander Albon. Russell and Leclerc 20 back from Max Verstappen, only a further 1 point away. Antonelli still ahead of Sainz and Piastri. We are now ahead of Nico Hulkenberg with those points this weekend, so happy with that. Bortoletto, Gasly and Franco Colapinto with points on the board. Of course, nobody else yet to get out of the starting blocks. Constructors-wise, McLaren 11 points clear, I should say, of Atlassian Williams, who are still ahead of Mercedes right now this season. So Mercedes powering the top 3 teams, though, early on in this campaign. Ferrari in 4th ahead of Red Bull, Audi still in P6 ahead of Alpine, and still Haas, VCarb, Caddy and Aston yet to get out of the starting blocks. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix.